and you're following behind and the drone camera gets water on it. That's risky.
That's real risky. Yeah, I'm something. Oh,
this
here we
looks
go.
Really good.
Let's see. Are we getting a stream?
So you want to work in the hunting industry? Oh, look at Redneck Tech Podcast.
There it is.
Live.
There she is. Okay, we're back. Sorry, folks. Not sure what happened there. But we're just in time anyways because we're going to start the podcast now. So we're going to do that. Lol crash. Yes, it was a crash.
Did you just say lol?
Yeah, he said LOL. I like to read it as lol. It's fun for me. All right.
I have so many YouTube accounts that I never look at the account.
You don't even know which one you're on.
No.
Yeah, there you go.
I did that with a business email the other day. I accidentally responded on my personal email.
I've done
and not either of my business emails or any of my other emails.
That'll happen on the big jobs.
Sorry about that. But
all right.
I was just so excited to send pictures to cool companies.
Everybody's excited to send pictures to cool companies. I can't blame you for that. All right. We're going to start the actual podcast now. We'll be back. The Redneck Tech Podcast is brought to you by Mike'sArchery.com. They're a one-stop shop for virtually everything archery, bow hunting, and for your next outdoor adventure. Mike's Archery has been at the top of the archery game for over 50 years, and they want to give listeners of the Redneck Tech Podcast 10% off their entire online store using the code REDNECK10, all one word. Just put the code in before you check out, and your boys will hook you up. The guys at Mike's have always been good to us, and now they can be good to you too. Visit Mike'sArchery.com and get your gear now.
Right here. Yeah. You want him? Yeah.
What is up, Redneck Tech people? This is your ginger host, Red Velvet, accompanied by the mulleted man, Keegan. Say hello to everybody.
What is going on? Or what's shaking bacon,
What
as they
is
say.
shaking? What is a crack-a-lackin'?
Madagascar is a good movie.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Smile and wave, boys. Smile and wave. It is episode 155. That's 155 for people who prefer number names and not single digits. El Presidente is literally just about to join us.
Good
he
timing.
he had El Chapo things to do, deals to make, people to get in line. But he's hopping in now just in time. We are talking about a couple of things today. The first thing we're talking about is going to be how to determine if you are more of a beginner, an intermediate, or an advanced individual within the hunting content creation sphere. And then we're going to talk a little bit about, so you want to work in this industry. We didn't plan on doing that, but it is basically a part 4 of our So You Wanna series. It came to me while I was in the shower. That's where all my good ideas come from. You can ask Caleb how many times I've been like, hey, I had this idea in the shower.
Don't ask me about the shower.
No,
Why can't you hear me? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
I cannot hear myself.
Well, what's your headphone number?
Number 4.
Number 4. Here, do I need to crank it up?
I can hear you guys. I can't hear myself.
Oh.
Can't hear yourself?
No.
How about now?
A little bit, yeah.
Maybe you're just
better.
talking a little bit quiet today.
More better.
For some reason, you are off camera.
Well, it's called the framing job that you did.
Well, the framing job was for 2 people, and then whenever y'all moved that table,
And then you added a grown man in here.
it messed up the framing. So that's not on me.
Should I get up and fix it, or like?
You are the closest to it. Just scooch it a little bit towards your side of the
You know what they say. If you want it done right, just do it yourself. So you're...
Yeah. So I all need that That's my power.
Aware of that, bud.
Okay. All right.
Just trying to get it out from under my feet.
If you're listening to this right now, we're adjusting the camera for the live, which is a great plug to say that if you're listening to this, you can also watch it. You can watch it after the fact on YouTube, and you can also watch it live when it happens. We usually try to do these Wednesdays around 3 p.m.
We do our best.
We do our best. We, like every other outdoor production company, are moving and grooving all the time, so we're not always here to do them, and that certainly is not going to get better within the coming months as schedules are starting to fill up. The fall is impending, and we're getting ready to start rolling. Impending. But we're going to do our best, and even if we don't do podcasts, we'll still be active on social, so y'all will be able to follow along in the action. For everybody on the live stream YouTube, hello. 42 Pros is doing 70 while listening to the stream. I bet you won't do 75. Tim says, heyo, and Nathan Winter says, afternoon, boss man.
Hola.
All right, so.
Production class coming up.
It is.
God, that's exciting, isn't it?
We're less than a week out.
We are.
We're
exactly a week out. In 7 days, there will be
people.
Students coming to learn some stuff.
I'm always very excited for that, but I get the same kind of like nervousness for that as I get like going on trips, because I really want to make sure that people who come here are getting what they want to get out of it and learning a lot.
No, that's not why. You want people to leave and think Red Velvet is the quintessential best editor and producer out there. He's that guy.
I don't. I mean,
you
if they
just
want,
said downstairs earlier.
if they want to think that,
you are cool. And
I am cool.
You need people to know that.
I didn't say I needed people to know that, but I am
You
cool.
implied
Act
it.
like it.
You implied it.
Everybody wants people to know they're cool. You don't want people to think you're cool, Caleb?
I don't care if people think I'm cool.
No, you don't. You don't care.
No.
No.
As long as people still think I take good pictures of dogs, I'm really don't care beyond that.
See, you guys make me sound like I'm really stuck up, and I'm actually not.
We have not made you sound pretentious or self-centered at all in the least.
Keep your face straight. Couldn't do it. He couldn't do it. Anyways, I genuinely do want to make sure that people get like what they came to get out of the class. That's my first and foremost goal. And I always get a little nervous because it's like I got to make sure that I'm saying the right things, giving people the right information, and trying to teach everybody stuff. Feels like a little bit of pressure sometimes.
It is a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure every time we turn on this podcast. Every time we go out with a client, there's always pressure, and you got to be able to perform under pressure.
Yes, you do.
Can you?
I can.
How many times can we say pressure in the next 37 seconds?
A lot.
Pressure.
That sounds
Pressure.
very
Pressure.
like a recent
Pressure.
political speech from our current government leaders.
Pressure.
Don't compare me to that. I'm far more intelligent than our government leaders currently.
So is this table.
Yeah. So shall we podcast? Like get into the actual podcast?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do it. You're in the chair. I'm following your lead.
How do I keep getting in the chair?
You're in the chair. So
I can move chairs.
nope.
No.
Pretty comfy.
Me too. All right. So to preface the class, and if you've been to the class, you'll know this, but we usually try to kind of segment the class into what we call a beginner, an intermediate, and an advanced group. And the reason we do that isn't because we're trying to make anybody feel a certain way about being beginner or feel a certain way about being advanced. It's so that we can really meet everybody where they're at. We don't belabor any information that is routine or basic to any group. And we also don't give a bunch of information that is too advanced or not applicable to another group. And so we always try to kind of figure out who is going to be in, I guess, each segment of the class, so that we can just make sure that everybody's getting information that's a little bit more suited to their skill level.
And we can focus on that skill level and not jump all over the place, because it sometimes, we have been accused of rambling and going off topic sometimes.
Who, me?
No, I said nobody in particular.
He said we.
I said we. I said no one in particular. So we have to try and narrow our focus, and that's why it really helps us to try and break the classes up to where we know Ryer's going to teach advanced. I think this year I'm teaching intermediate, and Clay is going to be teaching the beginners, and Keegan is going to be bouncing back and forth doing content and helping anytime we need somebody for another set of hands. So I think that's the way it's going to work the best. I still do not hear myself like I normally hear myself.
Yeah, you seem kind of, why don't you move it a little closer to your mouth? Maybe it's that.
That's not helping a lot, but it still don't sound like
a little better.
It definitely helped.
It helps. Why don't you put...
Why are those on?
Yeah, why don't you put 2 on and see if that helps?
Okay, because these suck.
Yeah, that's... Maybe. There you go. Put those on. I'll know.
Let's... now I can't hear anything.
Wow.
Number 2, yeah.
You
Okay,
gotta crank
that's
yours.
much better.
Crank
There we
that,
go.
Soldier Boy.
You know what? Freaking Soldier Boy, the band came on my shuffle yesterday, and I wasn't mad about it. It was kind of a nice little throwback.
I'm mad about it that we're talking about Soldier Boy on this podcast. But
all right, so
thank you.
In an effort to maybe one, help some of you guys maybe be able to determine what your skill level is, and for those of you who are coming to the class, we hope you're listening. And
we know you're listening. We have faith in you.
yes. We're going to go over kind of where we see each of these skill levels laying. That way you guys kind of have an idea of where you might fall, so that when we get to the class, we've got a good idea of who's where. And again, it's okay. Be really honest with yourself. If you are a beginner, that's cool. Every single one of us have been a beginner at some point and known literally nothing about anything.
Everybody starts somewhere.
And even though I would label myself as advanced, I still feel like I know nothing about anything. So it has nothing to do with your skill level or abilities. It just has to do with how long you've been doing it and the amount of skills that and experiences that you've built up over time.
Your willingness to learn.
Yeah.
That's a big part of it. Being coachable, knowing that you don't know everything. You can ask any of us, we've been doing it collectively over 20 years, but we still don't know half of what we should. We're faking it till we make it almost every day. We're having to figure a lot of things out too. I mean, especially me in business. I mean, this is still all, very new to me in terms of like how to do this correctly. So I fail daily.
True.
Thanks.
I mean, I was speaking collectively, but if you wanted to take it personally, I guess
I
you
took
can.
that a little personally.
And I took that personally. So
you can always count on Ryer to bring you down a peg. You really can.
Yeah, it's the best part of coming to the class. He just kind of belittles you the whole time.
Yeah.
Talks over your head.
You walk in his door and he's like, "This is the advanced class. Please leave."
Never makes eye contact.
Well, honestly, it's because sometimes I have to think. I can't look at people in the face when I'm talking about things because I have to think about them. And if I'm looking somebody in the face, then I start thinking about like.
The classes are mentally draining for me.
They are.
I'm sure they are for you too, because like we go down some deep, dark alleyways in our mind that we don't get to exercise a ton, and answer questions that we may or might not get a lot, or have to, tackle some concepts that we haven't had to tackle in a while, especially when you start talking about beginners and intermediates. Advanced stuff, and then the advanced stuff, you have to kind of broaden what you're talking about and figure out like what people need out of it. But I know after the end of the third day and the class, it's not like I'm like physically exhausted because my brain has just not stopped for 3 days. And this year it's going to be 4 days. So it's going to be a real, marathon. But I'm planning on not trying to stay up till 1, 2 o'clock every night on this one. Like trying to like pack it in like at a decent time, like maybe 11ish.
See, the
this year.
problem is I always pack it in, but then you wanna stay, so then I end up staying.
It's because you're so cool.
You also do this thing where you're like, "What do you think, guys? Should we start looking at this on the computer? Should we edit this one?" And then everybody's like, "Yeah, that'd be cool." And then we go down like 900 rabbit holes, and then look at the watch, and you're like, "Oh, it's time to get up this morning." Neat.
Mm-hmm.
Neat.
Well,
neat.
Very nice. So, Caleb, when I asked you how you might define somebody who has a skill level of a beginner, obviously that starts at no skills and no experience, but kind of where does that range stop?
I think a beginner is someone who has a camera or a couple cameras and they enjoy the idea of filming, but they don't understand how to make something look the way they want it to look. They don't understand why someone's colors or images or videos look a certain way. They don't even know how to describe them. They're like, I watch Heartland Bowhunter and it's so much better than what mine looks like, but I don't know why. And to be able to explain to them, well, it's got a lot to do with what camera you're running, how you're running your camera, knowing how to run your camera in manual. Essentially all the steps that it takes to get someone comfortable with their camera. I say a beginner is someone who has a camera, but they're not comfortable with the buttons and what the functions of the camera is. And then also it even bleeds into getting comfortable with your computer, how to dump footage, how to organize your footage, how to sift through it to try and start your first edit. I don't think editing is in that beginner category. I think maybe getting it into the editing program might be, but like actually trying to cut it up and make something out of it, like that's a little more that intermediate level. That's how I see a beginner. Somebody who has a camera but doesn't know how to use it effectively yet.
I think if I had to define it in a very simple, like quick, easy way, I would say that you know that you're kind of in the beginner phase if what you need to learn or don't know is largely mechanical as it pertains to operating the camera and or the software. Like you don't know what the buttons do. You may not know how to hold the camera. You don't necessarily know the terminology or how to apply that terminology. Same thing with like the computer. You don't necessarily know how the computer is working or what buttons to press to get certain things
or what things are happening in the background when you do press that button.
Or
like
how the editing program is working
there's
at
a status bar. What's it doing right now?
Right.
Yeah.
I think the beginner phase is really a very mechanical phase where you're trying to figure out how do I work these things with like the buttons and the controls. How about you, Keegan?
I think both of those are very accurate. You know, a lot of the things as somebody picking up a camera, you're trying to figure out why the button you pressed is doing the thing that it's doing.
Yeah.
And or how you can get it to stop doing that.
I would say I was a beginner up until I worked in this industry for 3 to 5 months. So over 3 years I was a beginner. So there's no like time frame or learning curve. Like some people catch on and pick it up extremely quick. I know like I think Thomas, he had been doing this professionally for like less than a year, and I feel like he's more creative and better than a camera than I am sometimes. Some people like him just have a knack for it and they have an eye for it and they understand it and they're tech savvy and they pick things up. They understand, you know, shooting and editing and, you know, getting dialogue and angles and all those things. And then some people, like obviously like me, apparently, takes a little longer to get it. But I also had never had anybody teach me and show me either. I was always trying to figure it out on my own, and I didn't even know what questions to ask. And that's what bothers me sometimes with beginners and maybe even intermediates is they don't understand enough to know what questions to ask. Yeah. And that sometimes is a hindrance because and I've said this before, is like I don't know what they don't know. You know, so right. I don't know if when I say iris or f-stop or, you know, shutter speed, like do you know what those words mean? Okay, how granular do we need to get?
Yeah.
And sometimes people are embarrassed to say, I don't know what that is. You know,
Right.
I've been that
Well,
guy
it's a
before.
hard thing to admit.
Yeah, I've been that guy before. You know, I've been in a room with people saying stuff, this, that, and the other, and like, yeah, the ROI of the TPI of this, that, and the other, and it's like, yeah, it was 34%, and everybody's like, oh, that's great, and I'm like, yeah, that's stellar. No
Well, that's-
idea.
Especially for a lot of people stepping into this industry, you know, a lot of them like are our age that have started a career or done something already and are transitioning.
Yeah.
And they were probably very good at what they were coming from. And now you're jumping into a new, completely different field and trying to learn all this stuff, and you're uncomfortable not being good at something. And that was really hard for me when I started getting into it. You know, I've been guiding forever and ran a construction company and everything else, and then jumped into photography and videography and wasn't good at it. And it's very hard to just accept, hey, I need to learn this and I need to take myself down a little bit and be okay asking for help.
Yeah, well, and it's okay not to be good at something. I'll be the first to tell you the things that I'm not good at. But that's why I try and hire people for things that I'm not good at. I try and hire people that are better at things than me. That's why you're here. You're way better at social media and marketing than I am. I've figured out that I'm really good at trying to keep the whole thing organized and the wheels greased, making sure things are staying on track, and trying to find the best people and create the best team. Like, that's what I want to do. That's what I'm good at, trying to keep people happy, have good work, good clients, keep up relationships. Like, that's what I've tried to be really good at. Ryer has obviously stood out in being a really good producer and a really good editor. Ryer will be the first to tell you and tell me if I'm wrong. It's a lot of stuff I have to do every day he does not want to have to do. He doesn't want to have to do the emails and the phone calls and the bull crap that I have to deal with a lot of times. He's not got the personality for it. I also don't have the personality to do some of the things that he does and the things you do. Everybody's different. But that's why I try and be the guy that figures out, okay, what role does everybody fill? And then the same thing goes to production. You know, some guys are really strong photographers, but that doesn't translate over to the video side as well. Some guys are really, really good videographers, can't take a picture, save their life. You know, some guys are good editors. Some guys don't want to edit at all. You know, there's everybody's got their strong suits, and that's the advantage we have is, you know, for the most part, we're all really good at about all of them. And we can tackle just about everything. But for you as an individual to try and be really good at all those things, it's hard. Like, you've got to spend, an immense amount of time. I mean, I couldn't even quantify the hours. I'm sure you couldn't either. How many hours have you spent behind a computer in Lightroom and Photoshop and Premiere and behind a camera to create the pieces that we make? I mean, it's hundreds and thousands of hours. And you can't, it doesn't happen without work. It's just like anything else. And that's why, you know, I was on a podcast last night with Winter Productions, who's on here right now. And, you know, we're talking about all the information we give away. You know, and it's like, you know, he kind of asked me, like, why do you give away so much information? It's like, well, because the limiting factor is nobody's going to put in the work. And we put in the work every day. Like, we're always, you know, and we've put it in the work for the last, you know, for me, almost 11 years. Ryer, 7-ish years. You know, it's just, you know, and you've got to be able to do all those things. And most people aren't willing to do the work, and they're not good at all those things. That's how we separate ourselves. That's why we don't guard ourselves with the information, because most people aren't going to, you know, they're not going to rise to that challenge like we have. And that's why we've been as remotely successful as we have been, in my opinion. I went way off topic.
Not really.
Okay.
Only slightly.
Well,
Okay. Sorry.
it's kind of in the whole realm of, you know, we're talking about the class right now, but the whole thing we're talking about is, so you want to be a producer and work in this industry.
well,
so,
yeah.
you know, that was right on par. Intermediate.
How would you define somebody
it's
who's
me again? Okay.
intermediate?
I would say intermediate is somebody who understands their camera. They understand how to get good quality footage, but and maybe they understand the, you know, the basics of, you know, getting footage into a timeline. You know, they have a rudimentary understanding of codecs and why camera shoot one versus the other, compressed versus uncompressed, those type things. But where they're lacking is trying to produce dialogue, how to manage time and manipulate time when you're talking about editing, and then the whole storytelling aspect of it. Some of the simpler things when you're talking about, how to shoot a time lapse and what that means in your timeline, how to try and get somebody to talk to you and what you need to get in terms of, when somebody tells you something in the field, how to get B-roll shots and how to get, shots that go along with the things that were said. Essentially taking that step up from, okay, I know how to get a good image. Now, how do I build a good video versus just getting a good image? That's how I would define it.
Yeah, I think you're going from figuring out how to use the equipment and the programs mechanically to what product you can produce with them.
Mm-hmm.
You're putting the buttons and the controls to practice.
And you're confident in those buttons and controls. You're confident in your abilities to run your camera.
Yeah. At that point, you can pretty much know the buttons without looking at it.
Yeah.
You can be watching something else and pressing the right buttons to make sure everything's happening.
Yeah.
And you understand, like,
not having to worry about what's going on.
Yeah, you understand how to use, why you have different lenses and what they're for, and the advantages of a wide lens versus a long lens versus a f2.8 versus an f4 versus a zoom lens versus a prime lens. Like, those are things that you have a rudimentary understanding of why lensing is important, and those type of things. And none of these at any level, I mean, maybe a little bit more in advance, but at any level, like this technical specifications of things, like knowing absolute specs and technicalities and every codec and I don't know if that's important. I mean, you talk to Nate Thomas. I mean, he's edited the Crush for 13, 14 years. And you start talking technical stuff to him, he's like, I don't care. I'm just making it look good. I don't care about any of that crap. So there is a place for it, but I don't think learning the technical aspects of everything that you're doing isn't as important as kind of like what you said earlier, is like getting out and just shooting. Quit making excuses, get out and shoot. And then figure out why it sucks. Because that was what I would do when I'd come back with video and I'd put it together and I'd be so happy with my little video, and then I'd turn on Outdoor Channel and be like, mine doesn't look anything like that. But I didn't know why. The separation from mine to theirs was so big, it almost seemed insurmountable. But it's not that hard to get there, I promise. I mean, look at us. I mean, there's three idiots, and there's one idiot downstairs, and we do it every day. It's not that hard.
Still amazes me every minute.
Every day. It does me too. I was sitting there the other day. I was going through those pictures that I have in my office when I redid my office or whatever. And I just started, like, Simsy was there with me, and he would look through pictures. Oh, Daddy, where was this one? And I was like, oh, that was in Missouri, and that was in Kansas. That was in, just start rattling stuff off. I'm like, dude, I have done so much stuff. I don't even remember half of it. And gone so many places, and I was like going through trying to find one video I did for Dudley, which I still never found it. I was like, I've done like 90 some videos for Dud. 90 videos. I wish I knew the count of how many finished products have went out just from me, much less Copeland Creative. I mean, it's a lot. I mean, it's thousands of videos, thousands. It's like you don't even remember half of them. It's like somebody's like, did you shoot this? And you're like, I don't remember. Maybe. Does it look good? Yes, I did. But it's taking a lot of time. I say it's taking a lot of time. It feels like it was yesterday. I was just getting into this crazy crap, but it's been a lot of time.
Yeah, I think it's important too that the drive to want to make better things is what I think propels you through the skill levels.
I feel like there's a lack of that right now, though. I really do. I feel like there's a lack of people that want to improve their skills. I feel like they're stuck in that YouTube crap grind, and they don't want to improve.
Well, I think there's a lack of you seeing it. I don't know if necessarily there's a lack of people that want to be better, that are bettering themselves. I just think you're seeing so much less of it because there's so many people, like the market right now, call it the market, social media.
And the barrier to entry is so low.
It's flooded with people who are, call it mediocre and are okay with that because that's what they're seeing elsewhere. So they're seeing other mediocre people because there's so many of them right now that have come into it with the GoPros and cell phones and everything else.
Yeah.
I mean, you could put your iPhone in 4K, hold it horizontal, and
trust
film
me.
stuff.
Trust me, Dudley's tried to get me to do it.
And
Want to choke him.
it's passable to a lot of the standard of what you're seeing right now because there's so many people just putting crap out there.
Lots of crap.
I think that there's not right now. There's not a built unless you inside of yourself have this. There's not a built-in incentive to do better work.
Which is ironic.
There's a
'cause
built-in
so much money to be
incentive,
made.
yeah, to do work, to do things. But like you said, once you get to a certain level and are able to figure out what the algorithm and in turn the audience likes and wants, well, you get all of the validation that you might want through likes and comments and engagement because you figured out, okay, if I do this amount of effort and I do this thing, this many people will like my my stuff, or this many people will comment, holy crap, that's dope, dude, or this whatever it is, right? And so you get to a certain level where you can produce that, and now where's the incentive? And I think it's at that point that you realize that there is a difference between people who maybe are doing it to get the clout and to get the likes and to
It's funny you
do
say
this,
that
and there's
not to interrupt, but I'm going to lose it otherwise. It's kind of the same thing as when you talk to your friends and your family and you show them a video or a picture and they're like, oh my God, it's so good. That's how a lot of this commenting is now too.
Right.
And you get this feedback and it sounds positive and people like it, or you get likes on something. That doesn't necessarily mean it's a high quality piece of something.
No. But
and there's a lot of factors that go into like, oh, why are you getting those comments, right? Because like you said, there are a lot of people making higher quality content than the pages and the people that are getting recognition for the mediocre content.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a reason those pages are getting the feedback.
The social media platforms and YouTube have glorified quantity over quality.
Big time.
And that has ruined so many guys like us. Not ruined, but like de-incentivized production value and effort.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like, no, get it out, get it in, get it out, get it in, get it out, get it in, get it out. And I've gotten that, Ryer and I have butted heads on that before. It's like, I want to take my time with this. It's like, well, we got to get it out, we got to get paid. It's like, okay, but, and I have to try and juggle both sides of that fence because we have to run a business, but we also want it to be a really good product. But in the middle of that is what's called a deadline, and if we have to hit 2 of the 3, and the deadline's got to be one of the 2.
Man, we need a soundboard with sound files. So when you said deadline, I could have played some like ominous, spooky music.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's quantity over quality has overtaken this business, especially in the hunting space, and the fishing space might be even worse with GoPro headshot videos.
Look at the waterfowl world. Good Lord.
Yeah, little black dots falling out of the sky. Gosh,
Yeah,
I'd
I mean,
rather watch paint dry.
I think, and I don't say this necessarily to toot my own horn. I mean, I know I get a lot of crap for being, super cocky and really egotistical.
And
but
awesome.
Awesome, yeah.
There's so
But
many
I
people
think
that say you're really cool.
But I know that I know that I've reached a certain skill level, but at the same time, I think what has allowed me to reach the skill level that I have, and what keeps me trying to push my boundaries, is this like insatiable desire for perfection and to be better.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Caleb knows this as good as anybody, and I'm sure you're probably getting a taste of it, Keegan, and Clay will say the same thing. I am as hard on my work as anybody.
Yeah.
And I'm rarely ever satisfied. Like, you can ask them after every single thing that I make, like, do you like it? Do you think that you came back with good stuff? This, that, and the other. And I'm very hard on my stuff, and that drive to always do better and find all the flaws in my stuff and figure out how to not have those flaws is what has propelled me from the beginner phase to the intermediate phase to the advanced phase. Because at no point in the I'm at and where my work is at. And I think that separates a lot of guys is, do you have that drive? Do you have the drive to be better, to get better, to want to do better things, or are you happy with where you're at? Because at whatever point that you are satisfied with your work, once you reach that point, you will no longer seek out information to grow.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when you get left behind, and that's when you stop creating or getting better.
But I think it has a lot to do with, it's kind of like you show me your friends, I'll show you your future. I think it's got a lot to do with the kind of content you consume too. It's like if you consume mediocre YouTube content and that's what you like, then that's what you're going to create. And there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, I'm not saying but I consume the highest quality content, minus maybe Blue Mountain State.
That's some pretty high quality content.
It is. It's a really fun.
I mean,
and also there's a difference. Like you've got high production value shows,
Yeah.
and then you've also got shows where it's just like simple writing genius.
But the things that
I think that would be one of them.
The things that get me the most now, if you ask me what kind of content,
the most?
what kind of content I
hope
consume.
I never hear that again.
God dang. What kind of content I consume, I wouldn't give you essentially like a specific show, but it would be like ones with really good characters, really good stories, and ones that have great production value and great writing. Because I'm not good at writing. I don't ever get to really work on character development a whole lot. Those are things that I aspire to try and work into something that we do. It's hard to do in the hunting world, but those are the things that I care about.
You mean you didn't develop Chuck Belmore?
No, there's no developing Chuck Belmore. He is one of a kind.
Thank goodness.
We talking about advanced now?
Yeah. Yeah. If you, that's the rest of it.
So you want me to talk about advanced now?
Oh, so you're just saying everything that's not what we just talked about? That's advanced. Done. All right. End podcast.
Okay.
Cue.
All right.
No, I think that if beginner is mechanical, just figuring out how to push the buttons, and intermediate is really understanding what those buttons do and how to manipulate them to get the visual results that you want and being able to tell a basic story. I think that advanced is one, understanding the entire production process from start to finish, and two, starting to really dive into more of, instead of just how to get what you want visually, how to get what you want psychologically from your stuff. Like how do I
subconsciously?
How do I pull emotion out of the viewer? Like how do I make them feel something? How do I get them to think a certain thing? What shots will allow me to get the look and the feel that I want? And why is that the look and the feel that I want?
Yeah.
Understanding the entire process from somebody coming to you or you coming to yourself with an idea. And then
come to ourselves with an idea.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just had to.
Cool. I got good recovery.
Yeah.
That's what he does in the shower.
It's hot as crap.
That's a good one. Come on. I'll cheers to that. That was a good one. That was a solid joke. That was a solid joke.
That's what I'm here for.
Basically figuring out the goal of the piece and understanding how to get that through style and shot the type of shots that you get and how you color it and how it sounds and how
you want to make
your entire edit.
How you want to make your viewer feel.
Yeah.
What do you want them to feel?
And you're no longer just thinking about, okay, how do I just get this stuff so that it's cool? Now you're really trying to understand how the entire everything that the viewer sees and hears affects them and how to manipulate all those things to get them to think and feel what you want them to.
Yeah. And advanced is where it gets fun. Advanced is where you're confident in everything that you're doing. You know your cameras, you know how to manipulate them, you have the gear, you have the experience. Now it's like, okay, I've made some really solid content. How do I take it to the next level? How do I make how do I bring emotions into this? How do I bring feelings and desires and, good, bad, and ugly? How do I want someone to feel when they walk away from this piece of content? Do I want them to be happy, sad, excited, mad, want to fight, want to run through a wall? Like, what are you trying to do with this piece of content? And I think that's where the advanced stuff comes in. That's where we really try and spend a lot of our time. And I think a lot of that comes from the planning and the execution and, really taking your time to do things right. If you think it's going to take 3 days, it's going to take you 5 type thing to do it right.
Especially Ryer.
It's true. Can't deny that. I think also when we were talking about it earlier, you said that an advanced person would be somebody who is comfortable. Like once you have an advanced skill set, you should somebody can come to you with a project and you feel comfortable taking that project from idea to delivery.
Yeah.
And doing all the things necessary for that.
No, you said that. You said that's how you were going to approach teaching the class, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
You said I said that.
I thought you said it.
You definitely said that.
I feel like you said it.
Yeah, you did.
I thought you said okay.
You specifically phrased it getting paid in the industry,
Oh,
but
I did say that.
he took it a little bit
I remember that
more
being
eloquently.
said. Okay,
Yeah.
sure. Ryer was more eloquent in his words. He does try and use some $2 words sometimes.
I $3 and $5 sometimes, occasionally.
Ooh, big money, baby.
We'd be spending it.
So now what?
I don't like this where you just sit there, you're like, so what's next? It makes it.
At least he doesn't do like this, where he just gets up in your face.
Do I do that?
Just direct eye. No, I was just saying in general. That would just
Oh,
that would really freak you
Let me
out.
put my
which
arm
it
around
did.
you. Let me put my arm around you and just pull you in close and be like, move on.
no, I don't want that. I don't want that at all.
Got a lot of comments there. What's all being said?
So, Winter Production says the fact that there are only 4 people watching this and taking advantage of somebody or a group of people willing to share and teach shows that people don't want to put in the work.
Nobody wants
true
to take
story.
advantage of you.
Yeah. And it's always the same 4. It's the guys that want to grind it out and work hard. Like that's what we like. Those are our kind of people.
42 Pro says, gotta love the process, not the destination. And that's very true. I think especially with
Speaking
editing.
of him, it was really good to meet you the other day.
Oh, did you meet him at iCast?
Yeah,
he was
Oh,
at
cool.
iCast.
Very nice. Very nice.
Much.
Broken Straw Media says, I fight that battle on a daily basis. We're up to 7 videos a week between 2 producers. Kills me on the inside. Yeah, that's a tough production schedule for sure. And Nathan says YouTube has created a big increase in the simple, quick, no polish videos. Yeah.
Yeah, we're aware.
It has.
Comments drive me nuts.
And then Tim
The
said,
information in them is good, but just
you're just my
watching-
lunchtime entertainment.
Oh.
It seems a little late for lunch. It's 4:18.
I'm offended.
Unless he's on the West Coast.
That's true.
Or
He's
in
on
Alaska.
the West Coast. I think he's in Oregon.
Good for
Oregon?
him. Oregon's
Pretty
beautiful.
sure he's in Oregon.
Pacific Northwest.
How do I remember that things, but I can't remember? Like my wife asked me to bring something home last night and I forgot.
Because you remember things that are important.
Oh, dude, oof. I literally
Oop.
pulled up. She was sitting on the front porch at 9 o'clock last night. And I got out of the truck. I said, what are you doing on the porch? She said, did you bring home what I asked you to bring home? And I'm like, oh. She's like, I bet you brought home everything you needed, though, didn't you? I'm like, I was on a podcast. I'm sorry. I'm this. And she's like, nothing's important to you. And I'm like, I'll just go put myself to bed.
I'll see myself out.
I'll see myself out. That's how I felt.
Yeah, so I think the second part of this podcast is so you want to be a professional in this industry.
Do you think that needs to be a second part of the podcast or a second podcast?
I mean, we could do it next time. That's fine.
I'm asking. I mean,
I think it all kind of ties in because we've
Okay.
touched so much on it.
Yeah.
And like going through the beginner, intermediate, advanced.
Okay.
And our little rabbit holes have kind of tied all that together. And I think it's important for people that want to be in this to understand what the different levels are so that maybe they can identify with themselves in the, hey, maybe
Or
I'm a little
be
bit better
honest-
than what
be
I
honest
am.
Be honest with themselves, too. A
Yeah.
lot of people aren't honest with themselves.
You know, because a lot of people might think that they're beginners and actually be a little bit more than what they are. And
Yeah.
I mean, there's going to be some vice versa.
And there's going to be
But-
some middle ground in that too.
Yeah. I think that just helps. It would have helped me at that standpoint to identify myself like that
Yeah.
and
And
kind of just fact check myself.
And once you're intermediate, there are companies and things that you can work for. Like I think that once you're intermediate and you know how to film, like, and you're comfortable with your camera, you can start doing some like freelance work, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if I'll say, I'm not going to say like companies, but there are definitely companies that like they just hire guys to just go and film things, and they don't need anything special. In fact, they hardly need any producing at all. Like, you literally just need to be able to show up, put your camera in a tree, and record a deer as it comes through and is hopefully killed.
Yeah.
Like, if you can do that, there are some companies that you can get work with.
Mm-hmm.
If
all you need for YouTube.
Yeah, I think in order to...
You don't even need that for YouTube. Man, ain't got me in focus.
True.
Don't get me started.
So, you want to be a producer, Caleb?
So you want to be a producer? I did many years ago, and now I am, and we are. The first thing I would say is it's not what you think it is. If you watch a lot of YouTube, if you watch, outdoor television, Sportsman's Channel, Outdoor Channel, if you've grown up watching it like I did, what you see on TV is what you see on Instagram. It's the highlight reel. It's the best of the best of the best. There's a lot more to this job that nobody ever shows or nobody ever really talks about, maybe other than us, I guess. There's a lot of, when I say there's a lot of negative and bad that comes with it, don't get me wrong, the positive outweighs the negative, but there's no such thing as a perfect job. There's only one perfect job out there that I know of, and it's only for one person. He's the only one that can have it. But
which is?
I can't say.
Boy, you really piqued my interest there.
I'll tell you after the podcast.
And then just let me down hard.
I have...
Anyway, there's a lot to it that never gets shown. Like the late nights. I mean, Keegan slept here last night in his office.
On the floor.
On a layup
blind.
Because
like a true waterfowl hunter.
Because he was trying to get through a bunch of stuff that we need to get through before the class starts. I've spent many, many late nights at the office grinding behind a computer to get an edit out that I'm not happy with, but it's got to be out tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. Many, many sleepless nights in trucks and airplanes, driving all over the place, flying all over the place, lugging heavy gear, dusty, roads in a Ranger trying to keep your cameras clean, hiking up and down mountains when you know good and freaking well you're not going to get a shot at anything when you get to the other side, but you're going to go anyway.
God, that sounds exciting.
There's a lot of just grinding that nobody talks about.
And not like the glorified Instagram grinding.
I'm
freaking grinding, bro.
No.
Doing the things, making the stuff work. Like, you don't want to be there doing it.
Yeah.
Dark shot,
it's like the perfect example for me is my one trip to Alaska was not a good one. Keegan's going to talk well about Alaska. I hated it. But I got there.
Oh, I could talk some terrible things about Alaska and convince a lot of people to never go there.
Mine was terrible. And I can tell you many, many stories of things that did not go well and didn't go right. And I can tell you about some stories that were wonderful. And
but
that
you love the keys.
And oh, God, no.
The keys are a death trap for electronics.
Yeah.
You've lost, what, 2 drones? He's lost 2 drones.
One, where's the second one? For sure one.
I thought you lost 2 drones 2 years in a row in the keys.
No.
It was 3 years in a row that we had problems with the keys. The only keys trip that we hadn't, that something didn't die, camera-wise, was the one that Clay went on last year. Apparently, you did something went
like
wrong.
I need to send Clay to Florida from now on.
Something went wrong. You lost a drone. I dunked a camera.
I lost a 5D Mark IV in
Yeah.
Florida. It wasn't the Keys. It was in Florida.
So 5D Mark IV,
I
lost a
didn't lose it.
drone.
I forgot it on the back of the truck and drove off, and it wasn't there when I got back.
And then I dunked a camera.
Neat.
Yeah. It was bad. I had had it like 2 weeks. Oh, it was bad.
Oh man, somebody was
So
so
bad.
excited when they found that.
Oh, dude, it had to been trashed. Had to been. But I filed a police report, never got it back. Yeah, Florida's a horrible place. I hate that. I hate that entire state. But there's just sitting on the side of a riverbank on a kill site trying to hunt a freaking brown bear, and it's pissing rain sideways. You're in chest waders up to your neck. You're standing because the guide was too hardcore to bring chairs for people to build a little blind so you could actually sit still. And you're standing there in the rain trying to keep your cameras dry for 14 hours a day for 4 days. Like, there's nothing fun about that. Like, that's the bad kind of grinding, the worst kind. All you want to do is go back to the plywood box that you have to sleep in, get dry, and go to sleep. But you know that it is currently 2 p.m. and you have another 8 hours before it gets dark before you can do that. So if that sounds fun to you and you can do that day in and day out, year after year, then this is a great gig for you. Now, are there horrible parts to it? Yes. But to me, the good parts, when you are successful and you've worked your butt off and you finally get that elk or that deer or that turkey or whatever it is on the ground, and you do it with a group of people that you enjoy being with. You've told a good story, you've done a good job, you bring it back and you put the edit together and it turns out to be better than you could have expected. It makes all those times worth it. But there are going to be some really crappy, crummy times in the middle. You spend a lot of time, and here's probably the worst part, and Ryer will, I know, echo this, and I mean, you were a guide forever, and you're going to definitely get a taste of it this year, is when you do this job for clients, you are always on their schedule. You're never on your schedule. And your schedule and your needs in terms of sleep, rest, packing time, travel time, eating time is never what they want it to be. You have to eat when they eat. You have to travel when they travel. You have to sleep when they sleep. Like, you don't have the freedoms to go and manage your life the way you would if you were at home, not on a trip. Your life filming is completely ran by the client you're with and the hunt that you're on. Every aspect of it, every second of it.
And that'll change week to week too.
And it
so you can't even get into that.
Change by day. It'll change, going from one location to the other. The weather sucks and you literally unpacked everything. It took you 2 hours to unpack. You get there and the weather sucks. Well, we're going to leave. We're going to go to another place. So you got to pack everything up, go to another place, unpack again, and do it. I mean, that happens all the time. But even beyond that, I'm somebody that after a certain amount of time with a group of people, as much as I love them, I need some time to myself. And when you do that for 30 straight days, when you're with the same people or a group of people, and you never can get away from them, and you can never have that quiet alone time where it's, even if it's taking a nap, if it's playing on your phone, if it's, about the only alone time you get is when you take a shower, if you get a shower. So you've got to really think about that, and you've got to be really good at dealing with different personalities, with different egos, with people that are really worried about the way they look and the way they appear to the world. And that's the kind of people you're dealing with all the time. You've got to be able to tread lightly. You got to know when to speak up and when to be quiet. It's a very multifaceted, multi-skilled, between whether it's emotional intelligence, whether it's, social intelligence, whether it's, computer savvy. There's a lot of things you have to manage, and then every client's different. All of our clients are just completely different. Like, we've got Chuck, who's really friggin' easy because he's been doing this as long or longer than I have. He gets it. So you have clients that are great. Then you have others that are really hard. And some clients don't respect your time. Some do. You have got to be a chameleon, and you have to be able to roll with all the punches.
I think that the major thing that people should think about Because obviously the number one thing when we say we film hunts, guys are like, oh man,
You
so that means you just get to go hunting for a living?
Living the dream, man. Living the dream.
And yes, but I think the difference between, obviously, there's lots of differences in like, oh, I have a camera and I'm not the one pulling the trigger. But, you know, a lot of people are like, oh, I'd still do that to go on the hunts. Well, you have to think about when you go on a hunt to enjoy yourself, even if it's kind of a crappy hunt and the conditions aren't good or whatever, like you get to decide when you hunt, where you hunt, who you hunt with, how long you hunt, how you're hunting, what you bring with you, what animals you decide to go after,
what caliber of animal you're going to go after.
Yeah, where like if you're going to hike over to that next ridge, if you're going to leave super early, if you're going to leave late, if the conditions suck, you could just pack it in. Like when you go hunt for yourself, like you said, you have all of the self-agency. And so part of the reason why people enjoy hunting for themselves or why people enjoy hunting is because like you can do it the way that you like to do it.
Enjoy the freedom
and
of
as soon as you stop enjoying it or stop deciding that you don't want to deal with that thing, you can go home and you can stop. Or I don't want to go over that hill over there. I don't really feel like going and stalking that doe. Oh, I don't feel like getting up early today. I don't feel like doing this thing. Like, you have complete control over all of the aspects of your own hunt. As soon as you start doing this for a living, you lose all of that control to the point where it literally doesn't matter what you want to do. You're going to go do whatever it is that they want to do.
Yeah. Like,
if they want to go hike 3 canyons over, and in your head you're like, this is stupid. There's no point in us doing this. This isn't going to be productive. It doesn't matter. If they want to do it, guess what? You get to go do it. Like, if they want to stay extra days, you stay extra days. If they want to leave early and go somewhere else that you aren't prepared for, didn't know you were going to, or whatever, guess what? You're going there. If you think, I would usually get up at 4 a.m. for this hunt, and they want to get up at 2:30 so that everybody can have breakfast for an hour and a half before they go out, and you don't get a choice to sleep in because, A, either you have to film the breakfast or they're all so loud you can't sleep through it. It doesn't matter. So it isn't about, like, fun personal hunting is not the same as you going on a hunt for clients. Because as soon as you lose all of that agency, all of that, like, personal will, you know, you're going to get put into situations that are going to annoy you, that are going to maybe piss you off, that's going to be inconvenient for you, that's going to make that you're going to be uncomfortable because you weren't prepared for this thing. Or sometimes you're just doing stuff and you're like, literally, this is the stupidest thing that I've ever done. And then you do it, and then it's still the stupidest thing that you've ever done. And you're like, I knew this whole time that it was the stupidest thing that I've ever done, but you can't do anything about it, right? And you have to, and through all of that, you have to continue to be creative. You have to continue to do the things. You have to continue to work, and you have to have a positive attitude. You can't sulk. You can't be a butthole about it. You can't try to force your will on anybody. Like, you have to go along with it and have a good attitude about it. And that I think a lot of people think that they can do that, and not a lot of people can. It's a very specific type of person that can do that. You do it for 150, 200
days a year.
Yeah.
There's that drawback to it. There really is, and it gets really hard sometimes. And I've been on many hunts. I've been on elk hunts. You know, the top of the mountain, the most fun that you can have. I didn't want to be there anymore. I wanted to go home, but you got to stick it out. You've got to continue to climb and go every day. But on the other side of that, on all the, you know, the quote unquote negative that we just talked about, which there is, I mean, there's negative with everything. When you get the call for that one that you've been waiting for, that Yukon moose, the helicopter hog hunt, the really cool story and the really cool place, you know, when that elk finally does come in, when the turkey finally does come in, it makes all of those terrible, terrible things all worth it. But it's the same thing hunting. I mean, anybody that's done any kind of like hardcore hunting, they know that there's a lot of suck that comes before you finally are successful. There's a lot of work leading up to killing a big deer, an elk, a turkey, or whatever. So, but just know if you're the kind of person that doesn't deal with constantly changing schedules, very, very lack of any respect for your time, you don't deal with change, discomfort or lack of planning, lack of scheduling, lack of notice, then this ain't for you. You've got to very much be able to accomplish a lot with very little to no plan and no time to plan for it. Like we have gotten to the place, like right now, right where I'm sitting, if it were to happen, if one of our clients were to call and say, we've got this amazing thing that's happened, we're going to get to go on this crazy cool trip or hunt, it's going to be tomorrow. Can you be on a flight tomorrow morning? I can. I could be out the door on the road in the next 2.5 hours. And you've got to be able to do that. You've got to be sitting here, absolutely no plan whatsoever. Everything's packed. All my clothes are packed. All my gear's packed. And I am on the road either to the airport or driving to a location in 2 to 3 hours. That happens. That's happened more times than I can count. Especially with Chuck, because when things get good, fish start spawning, whatever, you just got to be able to go. And you've got to not only be able to do that, now you talk about in my case, which, these guys don't have to worry about as much, but, you've got to have a family that's willing to say, yeah, go ahead, go. That's your job or whatever. Or if this is something you're passionate about and you want to get into more, that they're willing to let you go and try it. They're willing to allow you to go and make mistakes. They're allowing you to go out there and, network, meet people, hone your skills, all those things. So just be ready to roll with punches always. And, like Ryer said a minute ago, always having a positive attitude, the best you can. There's been a couple trips, having a positive attitude for me was next to impossible. Alaska was one. The Keys was one. Ohio, that one we got screwed by the outfitter, was one. I can think of a couple that were just like, I am on the edge of just snapping, as Chuck would say. But you got to hold it together. And some people just aren't. They don't have the personality or the gumption to keep it together. So if you're not that guy, you're not that guy.
I think a lot of it, you kind of almost just have to be built different.
Yeah, for sure.
There's a lot of times that you
it's
say
all in your head.
anybody
Every
can
bit
do
of it's
it.
in your head.
And there's so much of it that anybody can do.
Yeah.
But the extreme versions of it, not everybody can do. And the realism is most people can't do it.
The schedule's hard, man. It's a hard schedule.
Look at when you called me and said, hey, I want you to come work. I was on a plane the next morning at 5 a.m. And I didn't go home for 2 months. I had my camera and some baggage, and that's all I had for 2 months of running around, filming, doing everything else.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that can't physically do that. And
they look at us like we're nut jobs because we can. I was telling somebody the other day about driving somewhere, and they're like, yeah, that's like 5 hours. I'm not driving, I'm flying. I'm like, 5 hours?
I'm driving 10 tomorrow.
I'm like, why would you drive? Why would you fly to go 5 hours? Oh, my God, I'm not driving that far. That's too far. Like, dude, that is ludicrous. It's only 8.5 to Little Rock. It's not that far.
It's like 9.
Oh.
I mean, just take a look at, when you look at the people who do this for a living, they all have, this certain kind of mindset and desire and a way they want to live their life. I think that part of it is, I just think that, like you said, are built different. If you can make more money and have a better schedule and still shoot your camera and be creative and be in a creative realm
and make more money.
Right, and make more money
outside this industry.
Not doing this,
10
right?
10 times more money.
10 times more money.
The people I think who do this are driven by
a little crazy.
And I can say this for me, and I'm sure I could probably say this for you guys.
Let's be honest.
I'm driven for I adventure and telling the stories.
Oh, anytime.
Those and if you ask any guy who does this for a living, I think most of them probably fall in that category. Like I crave newness and adventure personally.
Well, we've talked about some very outlandish, very extreme, very hardcore things that we've talked about, like would be cool to do, and both
Sign
of
me
you are
up
like,
right now, tomorrow.
let's go.
Yeah.
I want to go. The harder, the longer, the meaner, the
you want me to
hotter, the
film
colder,
for 6 months straight? Done.
Yeah.
When do I leave?
So, but that all comes down to
Being psychopaths.
just having a mental, like, you just, I could do it now. I would do it, and I have a desire to, not like I used to.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's changed for me over the years. Just, I mean, honestly, my family's changed it for me. Like the thought of like this crazy, long, gnarly adventure, like it still gets me excited, but I also have to dial that back and be like, okay, I got to be a little real here. I got 3 kids at home, a family, a business, all this, that, and the other.
That is something that I don't think a lot of people understand when they get into it, especially like at a young age.
Yeah.
And
It's a young man's game. It really is.
I've seen it just because I guided so long, and I've been traveling pretty much nonstop for the last 5-6 years.
Mm-hmm.
You start to lose all the like relationships with your friends, your family,
That's
as
hard.
they develop their own lives without you in it for extended periods of time. Things change, and it's hard.
Yeah.
You're not gonna find a significant other unless it's somebody that lives a life like you, and that's a very hard thing to find when you're traveling and you're gone all the time, and you're not in places where you're going to interact with other people that aren't the people who are paying you to be there.
And somebody to find a significant other that's understanding enough to say, I understand what this means to you. I understand what your passion is, and I'm here for it. Just FYI to you listening, there's girls that'll tell you that they're not telling the truth.
They're so full of shit.
They're so full of it. They never, like, my wife is, she got into this after we were already married. She didn't have a choice. If she's it's hard on her, but she's gotten to where she does better at now. But now that our kids are getting older, it's getting harder on me. But like, I don't know if we were just been dating and I would have done what I did in those early years. Like, if anybody could live through that. Like, it's hard. So that's another thing you got to think about is like, how important are your relationships, and are you willing to lose those relationships? Because, I mean Ryer said it. I mean, Copeland Creative's a relationship killer. I mean, it is. I mean, I don't mean it to be that way. I mean, I never would want that on anybody, but
I think
it's a hard lifestyle. It really is.
I think, like you said, and this applies to just like regular friends and family, but also to significant others. I mean, what we do is very different from how people usually live their lives.
Oh, very.
And the way that most people live their lives and connect with other people is through like regular hanging out and these like semi-regular traditions and people going and doing things together on a very regular basis, right? And I think that relationships are much the same way, obviously. Like, you and your partner want to be together. You want to go do the things. They want you involved in their life, and you want them involved in yours. And what happens is, well, September, October, November, December comes.
Peace out. We'll see you in 4 months.
Right. And so you now are gone, and you can't go to the bowling night that your friends have every Wednesday.
That was the
or I don't know. I'm just trying to think of things. I don't have a
softball.
I don't have a bowling league on Wednesdays, but I would do one.
We're trying to think of things that
or
people that aren't nut jobs do.
I don't know what kind of traditions people have.
I don't even know what they do.
And even when you're
What
here,
do you do?
I always wonder, like, what the heck do people do, like, at night after they get done with their 9 to 5? What do you do when you go home?
Oh God.
Well, and here,
mainly
let me continue
I don't go home
on
until it's midnight.
I want to continue with what I'm saying real quick, and then we can move off
I didn't
into
mean
this.
to interrupt you and hurt your
But
feelings.
I think what's really difficult, and I can only speak for like women, because I've
Ryer's so badass and committed to the work. That's the reason he's still single. It's not the shirts.
Amen. Exactly. I'm just so
that's
freaking
definitely
cool.
why bowling came to mind, because of the shirts.
Well, I got some freaking sick bowling shirts, and I know it. I'll walk up pimping. up in that alley. But so, like, if you have a girlfriend, she wants you to be involved in certain things, and like her friends get together to do this thing, or there's a birthday party or a wedding or an
I've
event.
missed so many weddings
like,
over the years.
If you have a girlfriend, she wants you to be there, and I can only imagine how difficult it
weddings.
is to have. I'm just going to continue talking over
Yeah,
you
it's
guys
fine.
because I'm going to get this freaking point out.
Go ahead.
I can only imagine how difficult it is to be like the one who's got a significant other that's never at any of the things, and everybody's like, where are they?
My
What are
wife.
they doing?
My
Why are
wife.
they not here? We don't ever see them. And
Do you
I-
actually have?
Yeah. Yeah, like, do they exist? What are they doing? And then they got to be like, oh, he's in.
Especially how we travel.
And they don't even know. Like, he's somewhere deer.
What is it? September? He's somewhere out west.
He's in the West doing elk. Like,
Could be a different
can we
country.
FaceTime him and he can like talk? No, he doesn't have any service right now.
Yeah.
I get
No,
like 2
it's
texts.
5 p.m. It's prime time. He's in the stand.
I get 2 texts from him a day.
Yeah.
You know, and I
Proof of life.
imagine that wears on
Oh yeah.
people significantly. But
Oh, that's
swear.
when I went to Alaska my first year, I had
Yeah.
lived with a girl for a year and a half, and I said, I'm going to Alaska this summer, and came home, and there was no girl there anymore.
Mm.
I also
Jody took
didn't
her.
have phone service for 5 months, so
Oof.
so either, like you said, it takes a very specific type of person to be the significant other to somebody who does this job. And I
Special.
think
Crazy special.
a lot of, like you've said this
not the fun
before,
crazy.
for guys who have a wife and kids
should get
and
my wife on here one day.
responsibilities. Yeah.
Should keep it real.
She does. She does. It's a lot harder of a transition. Like, if you've got all those things and you want to do this, to transition from that into this is very difficult. Whereas, like,
Well,
I guess the nice thing with us is just going forward. It's just the way it is.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you're either going to accept it or it's not going to work. But obviously, you can't. If you got a wife and kids and a job and responsibilities and
And
financial
Well, that's-
responsibilities, it's much more difficult. So
that's the only reason. Like I even
if you're
really.
if you're young and thinking about getting into it,
Yeah.
don't wait until you have a wife and kids and all that. Like, you need to do it now.
That's why when I found you and Clay and Keegan, it's like you all had lifestyles that already lended themselves to this.
He's like, these guys are perfect. Nobody's going to date these idiots.
Well,
Yeah, he was like, Ryer, nobody wants him.
can't say that. I'd probably get in trouble with some sort of government thing if I said, "Yeah, these guys are so ugly, nobody's gonna marry them."
We don't have an HR department.
Yeah, exactly. But it's like they've lived this lifestyle. They understand what it means to be gone. They understand schedules are never in stone. They understand trips can be much longer and much shorter. They understand how to manage gear. They understand, those are all really important aspects of this. Somebody that, I was talking to, Winter Productions last night. He's like, he's never been on an airplane. I'm like,
Huh?
"Wow,
Really?
I wish I'd never been on an airplane."
I love airplanes.
Well, you're weird, but it's a very
Go get on an airplane. It's not even, you
He's
just
scared of heights.
don't look out the window.
You might as
If
well
you
be
literally
ground
don't-
level the whole time.
Don't look out the window and don't think about the fact that you're 30,000 feet up in a metal tube that could come crashing down at any second. Actually, air travel is incredibly safe because there's a ridiculous amount of redundancy built into the systems. But go on an airplane. How old are you, Nathan? You can't be afraid of airplanes at whatever age you're of.
It's a
Gotta go on the
very
planes.
it's a very very unique lifestyle, and I had to explain that to my wife about how, in terms of, before I started doing this job, I used to think the world was so big, because you never really been out of the Southeast much,
Mhm.
and now it's like the world's so small. It's a plane ride away. You want to go to Alaska? Okay, we can be there. You want to go to Africa? Sure, let's go. You want to go to wherever? It's like, sure.
I think the problem is once you start, like, I was probably in kind of the same boat as you. I remember you saying when you were growing up and stuff, like, you had no interest in traveling.
Not
Like,
a bit.
you didn't care to see anything. And I think I was probably kind of the same way. I was like, I don't really
I was
care to go
complacent.
places. I don't
Yeah.
need to see anything. I don't have any
Oh, yeah.
desire to go see these things. Like, and then I started doing this, and you start going places,
And I want to go
and you're
everywhere.
like, I would like to always go everywhere.
Yeah.
Like, I want to go see all the places and all the things and eat all the different foods and go everywhere.
I want to go there, there, and there. Been there. Don't ever want to go there again.
Yeah.
You know,
But like I want to be able to say,
got a couple of those.
Indiana? No.
Got a couple of those.
Yeah, that's kind of funny. Like, I've lived my whole life out of a suitcase.
Yeah.
Like, we traveled so much growing up.
Really?
And
I lived out of a baseball
I mean,
bag.
I was in Italy when I was in kindergarten.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
So, like, I've been all over the place for my whole life.
You like went to school in Italy?
No, like, we went on vacation.
Oh, nice.
My uncle was stationed there in the Air Force.
Oh, very
So
cool.
we went to visit. And, like, I swam in the streets of Venice when it flooded.
Nice.
No, super unsanitary. What my mother was thinking, don't know. But, although knowing me, I probably just jumped in and
Yeah.
whatever. But anyway.
Explains a lot about like your hair and your stomach issues.
This is true.
No, it's just like, it's funny because the life's so different. And,
Mhm.
like, you know,
you don't get
get
to live
people
a
that
normal
never
person life.
No, you don't.
You don't get to live a normal person life.
And
And
I-
I think about that a lot because sometimes, like, man,
But here's the
it would
I
be
would
nice to
hate
just I think in my head, it would be nice like if I just had a job where I just showed up at 11. I would say
that thing
9.
you do anyway.
I would say 9, but I don't want to get up at that time. And like work until 7, and then when I'm done, whatever, 9 to 5 if it makes everybody happy. And then when it's time to go, you just like click and you're out, you're done with whatever it is that you're doing. You don't have to think about it anymore. And then you just go and you know it's Tuesday, so I'm going to go eat tacos at this place with all of my friends because we do that every week. And on Thursday, we're going to all do this thing. And on Saturday
That
and
gives
Sunday,
me so much anxiety thinking about that.
I go do these things.
there's part of it. There's
And you
part-
just, hold on.
sorry.
And you just go through and do that. And I think in my head, wow, that must be so nice. But then also I think I would literally go insane.
You would.
I would sink into a depressive episode so deep.
Think about how many people say that now. It's like I worked in this job for 30 years and like I was going to do it for, a year, get some experience. Now I blink and it's 10, 15, 20 years later.
Yeah.
And they've done that same thing and it's like their life's gone.
That makes my skin crawl. Just
Yeah. Oh
thinking
yeah.
about
It does me too. And to think
I'm literally 27 and I've been in a lot of places and I still have a fear of like not having gone all the places I want to go.
I
But
just
here-
realized I turned 28 next week.
nice.
Oh.
But here's the thing. It's like
Happy birthday.
you do this and you
Wait,
think,
when? Is it during the class?
nice.
We need a cake.
No.
I'll let Jason know.
Ellsworth.
Because I can eat cake.
Oh,
I'm sure there's some kind of cake you
we'll
can
get
eat.
him like
Gross.
a granola bar.
What about a meat cake?
Oh,
Like a
Please,
meatloaf.
please never.
Ooh, a meatloaf? A
Please.
meatloaf with a happy birthday written in ketchup on the top? Honestly, I would take that for my birthday. That'd be awesome.
Anyway,
yeah, I thought about that a lot. How unstressful it would be to just have a 9 to 5 where you don't have any responsibilities. But like, then you look at it. I always think in terms of. I always think of things long term. It's like, okay, when I'm 50 and I've been doing that job for 20 years or 30 years or whatever, it's like, what have I accomplished? What have I gained? Where have I been? Nothing. I got a fat 401k, but now I'm 50, 60 years old, and all the stuff I wanted to do and all the places I want to see, I can't do it anymore. Like, I just don't understand.
that's I had a client a bunch of years ago. They were from England. We were talking about traveling in Europe, and like it's somewhere I've always wanted to see more of and just appreciate all of it. And she goes, "Why would you go there now at this age? Go overseas when you're older and like have things kind of built up and your money kind of set up where you can go to these places and really experience it. Travel now while you're young in this country because it's just like all those other ones, just in one country, and just see it all now. Do this while you can and really truly experience what you have here."
Yeah.
And that kind of hit me a little different. And
Yeah. There's only one thing I would care about, like going over to Europe for and like Russia over there. I would love to ride the Trans-Siberian Railway. I've always thought that would be really cool to like get on, and think it goes from like,
is it called the Trans-Siberian Railway?
I think so.
Do they play the Trans-Siberian Orchestra the
I
whole
was
time
about to
too?
say.
I don't know.
And they also serve hot chocolate. They may or may
That's the
not go
Polar
skidding.
Express.
Oh, they may or may not go skidding across the ice.
But
Yeah, that's the Polar
it
Express.
it starts somewhere in Europe and goes all the way across Russia and everything. It's like the longest railroad in the world, and it takes like 5 or 7 days,
Yeah, that would be super
like
cool.
nonstop. Like just like you literally start in Europe in the cities and you go all the way. And they said there's I can't remember the statistic, but like you go into the forest in Siberia and it's literally wall to wall trees with no breaks for like 40 solid hours of running like 50 miles an hour in a train. Like
See,
there's
like,
nothing.
Now I
But
hear stuff like that, and I'm like, I gotta see it.
I've always wanted to do it. Like something I've always like that would be really cool.
Well,
than
I
that,
know a production company that
no-
could probably do some advertising for that railway.
no desire whatsoever to go see anything else over there though. Really don't care about seeing Europe.
I'd love to go shoot.
Pretty much a
IMAX.
hellhole. Don't want to go.
I'd like to go. So if you're a client who has work in Europe,
Oh, we almost got to go to Spain. We thought we
I
were
know.
going to go to Spain.
mm-hmm.
I
I was
gonna
real
send-
excited.
I was going to send you too.
I know. We had a whole conversation about it. I was real excited. I was like, yes, I'll go now. Ready to go. And you're like, well, we're not sure if it's happening. Like, make it happen.
Budgets. Mm.
It is amazing how
the
differently you
cur-
have to
the-
be built to do this,
The
though.
curse word in our industry, budget.
Yeah.
What's the budget? Ooh. Don't talk about the budget.
Money. We have to pay you people.
Oh, God. Lord have mercy.
It's kind of funny though.
Bless
like
us,
the
Lord.
3 weeks that I was in the office, like by the end of week 3, I was like not doing well. Like I needed to leave and like go travel and
Mhm.
like go to work, even though like I was working 20 hours a day. I just like needed to go travel and
yeah.
see something else.
I could tell. It's a transition. It is. It's tough. I don't like being in the office, but I've also accepted that like part of my job has to be here.
Thank God for you.
You know, but it's one of those things to where you find what you're good at and what your knack is and figure out where you do your best work, whether that's in the field, at the office, or a combination thereof. There's always going to be office parts of this, unfortunately.
Yeah. It's a sad the roads in the South are so busy because I'm used to being able to drive around the Midwest, not West, and be able to still do all of my work while driving.
Don't talk to me about that. Don't talk to me about how bad traffic is. It's so bad.
I was literally thinking last night as I was driving home, this is the only place that I've lived where people go under the speed limit
It's
on a
pretty-
regular basis.
It's pretty
And
pretty
it
annoying.
fills me with so much rage.
There's
I
also like mountains and turns.
I
and
don't
crap.
care. I lived in Colorado. There's mountain and turns there, everywhere. People still ball. down here, people aren't balling.
Well, we got
If
a bunch
anybody
of old people
ever has
here.
an option to drive with Ryer or anybody else, ride with the other people. Just saying.
Caleb is just as bad as me.
Not even close.
You're
I
lying.
didn't say it. He said it.
No, Caleb is real
But
bad.
I bet both of you hate when I drive because I drive like an old person.
I don't care. I'll fall
I didn't
asleep.
notice you drive like an old person
I
today.
super always do.
I fall asleep.
We probably need to wrap this up. It's 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
I got stuff I want to do.
I have my
I have a whole
I have my-
studio to build.
It's Wednesday. I have wine Wednesdays with my group. It's always I'm gonna be late today. They hate that.
God, you're a special
We
kind of
can't even
person.
do a podcast every Wednesday for a full
Yeah.
year straight,
No.
much less go to slow pitch softball league.
Golly.
But that would be fun. Or
Oof.
bar league volleyball.
I would like to have time to like have some sort of. I would love to get back into some sort of coaching.
If we all
You know, for
did a
baseball, I
sport,
just don't have time.
I don't want it to be baseball or softball. I need it to be something that
Well, there's
Clay and
3
Caleb haven't played. Did you play it?
Yeah, for like 12 years.
Oh. See, I don't want that. I want something that none of us have played so that we can all be on the same level.
Like
so
what?
you just don't want to be worse than us.
No, that's not what it is at all. I'm
'Cause-
fine being worse. I just don't want it to be like
Caleb's
Every
obviously
time-
the
I
peak
don't-
athlete in the office. He's going to be better than you at everything.
Yeah.
Formally.
I just don't want to show up and have to listen to everybody talk about their former baseball lives for every single time we go play.
Oh my God, that's Clay. That is not me. Clay is much worse than me.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
I
Boss
mean,
man.
he did talk about it at ICAST.
Really?
About baseball at ICAST, yeah, absolutely. When he went 0 for 3 the first time in the duck tank.
Oh, see, he didn't tell us that part of the story.
He told us that.
Yeah, he definitely told us
He
that.
told us that.
Yeah. I have video evidence if you want to watch.
I would like
Speaking
to watch.
of, I've got like 2 or 3 Redneck Tech videos on my phone I need to give you.
Oh,
Forgot to give them to you.
look at that.
All right. Any final thoughts? Any questions, comments, anything we need to think about? Talk about?
Speak now or forever hold your peace.
I don't know. I'm excited for next week. I think
Yeah.
this production class is going to be really cool. those of y'all that are coming. It's going to be great to meet y'all
Mm-hmm.
and see some of y'all. 'Cause I've met some of y'all already.
Hope you're
But-
ready to learn. Open your minds. And let all the.
I'm really sad we have to see Jason Ellsworth again. That's really going
I'm
to suck.
super sad about it.
He
You know,
just
I
keeps
just
coming
saw
around.
him in New York. I know.
How does he keep ending up on all the
I don't know,
trips?
he's like cockroaches. You just can't kill him.
Yeah, he just continually. It's like
It must
I'm
be
somewhere, Jason's
It
somewhere.
must be something about his terrible demeanor and
Yeah.
inability to get along with others and his awful cooking. Never hire Ellsworth cooks.
We're just
total-
kidding, Jason.
we're
We're
totally-
just
we're
kidding.
totally
I'm
kidding.
not kidding. Nobody can ever hire him, so I can just keep him.
Oh, that's fair enough. Remember, no sweet potatoes. We don't like it down here, apparently.
Mm.
Sweet potato slap.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh,
False.
sweet potato tater tots.
Okay, listen to me.
Ooh.
If I'm paying for the food, we're not eating freaking sweet potatoes. Okay? Putting that out there.
Sweet potatoes are delicious.
We good?
You don't like yams
right.
either?
No, God. No.
Even with marshmallows on top?
Gross. Get out of here with your crap food.
Ready?
It's delicious.
All right.
All right.
Peace.
Deuces. Peace.